Hello, I'm Tam France. You may know me as one of the Fab Five from Netflix's Queer Eye. I am going to be highlighting 4 of my own personal queer icons who have impacted my life in such a great way. Russell T Davies is a queer icon as far as I'm concerned. He introduced me to the gay world. I was, 15. It was the first time I had seen a gay character represented this way on a show. It showed what life was like on the gay scene in Manchester, and I lived in a small town called Doncaster, and I thought that being gay was something I would have to hide. I would never really be able to explore and experience. And then I watched Queer as Folk, and a couple of years later I moved to Manchester because I thought that this was a place that I could be myself, and it was because of Queer as Folk. Elton John was like the gateway drug for so many people. It was okay for straight people to listen to Elton John. There was somebody gay out there was somebody queer out there who was seen as mainstream and acceptable in everyone's home and embraced and loved for his talent. Has he had an impact on me personally? Yes, of course. Every now and then, if I'm a little bit extra, if I'm a little more flamboyant, I'm able to do that because of the likes of Elton, because he paved the way to make it acceptable. He offered us a version of a queer person that was liberated. As soon as Rue stepped onto the screen, Rue was an icon. I think that it was unavoidable for Rue to be anything other than a queer icon, especially because they were one of the first to do something like that. They were embraced, they were in music videos, they were on billboards, they were in movies. That I'd never seen before. I used to try on my mum's clothes, or I'd tiptoe around in her little heels when my parents weren't home, or I'd dress up my Barbies, desperately hoping that one day I could dress like that. And here was a man who was celebrated for who he was, and what he did was embrace every facet of himself, and one of those was that he got to be the drag queen, the woman that he wanted to be, his alter ego, and he was super, super powerful when he dressed as Rue. George Michael absolutely is a queer icon. First off, I was obsessed with George. I was fully in love with George. I wanted to marry George. I thought he was the hottest thing on the planet. Club Tropicana video is one of the sexiest videos you will ever see in your entire life. And even then, I don't think he was out, but I knew that he was one of us, and that if we ever met, I was probably 5, that he would want to love me and marry me, which is incredibly bizarre. The fact that George does talk about his queer journey in his music is impactful to a young gay person, a young queer person who doesn't know if they're alone in this world, who doesn't know if they're a weirdo, a freak, because they don't know anyone else like them. To know that somebody went through the same thing we're going through does make us feel like we are less alone, does make us feel like we're worthy of love, that we're worthy of everything that we desire. I think that the thing that links all 4 of these queer icons is that they all came from a time when it wasn't easy to be out and proud. It wasn't easy to share a gay story. We wouldn't be able to be who we are today as openly if it weren't for the people who had paved the way for us, including those 4 queer icons.